What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. Jeremy Corbell just dropped a bombshell on the latest episode of the Weaponized podcast with George Knapp, basically stating that we're going to be having hearings coming up in the next few weeks from people who have touched a UFO or craft, right? So let's jump in. I've got all the details, and Jeremy and George said a couple of other things that I think you're going to find interesting as well. So let's get this going. Now, please hit that like button, Vetters. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, y'all. I'm trying to get 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I think that's possible. Now, let's get to this first clip from George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell.
Another thing that was put out into public that I just want to get your perspective on. I'll say something because I'm close to it, but there was promise to have new UFO hearings that were supposed to happen the week of the 12th, and they didn't happen. The public ones didn't happen. And I've got a little background on that. I can probably tell you why, but here's what people might not know. Maybe in UFO X and that people know, but there were two classified briefings. And I think that's coming out public enough where I could say something. So one of those classified briefings on UAP the week of the 12th was actually in a skiff with David Grush and also Representative Burleson. And Arrow was supposed to be informing Representative Burleson and others about the UAP topic. Then you got David Grush sitting there looming over, making sure they don't say something that's not true. I mean, through little birdies, I heard some of possibly some of the things they tackled. All I got to say is we are so lucky to have someone like David Grush sitting in a room like that so that Arrow can't obfuscate, lie, and pretend they're doing something they're not. There's probably conversations going on what types of analysis they were doing to debunk things. Man, I'd love to have a guy like David Grush sitting right there behind, whose job it was at NRO to look at stuff like that, who has a deep knowledge, came forward as a whistleblower, and was able to kind of, I hope, in that room, was able to bring everybody to brass tacks. Word on the wash, birdies tell me that it was awesome to have David Grush in that room because he kicked some ass for UFO transparency.
Yeah, it would be great to be in that room, be a fly on the wall, or see a transcript or a tape. I don't think we're ever going to see that, but we do have little bits and pieces of what it was like. And I guess, I think he gave a bitch slapping to a couple of people at a couple of issues, including ones that we are involved with. Some things that we've been reporting.
I love seeing George Knapp talk like that, right? Apparently David Grush was bitch slapping mofos in a skiff, telling them what's up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, apparently there was this whole thing of these briefings and skiffs had been canceled, but apparently some things did happen. Honestly, it's so convoluted. I don't really know what's going on in Washington at the moment. But Jeremy is just describing one meeting that he knows did take place between David Grush and Arrow, right? And George Knapp, again, adding the psh, psh, psh to what, who they spoke to. And, yeah, that's interesting. Right, for sure. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, let's move on to the big bombshell you've been waiting for.
We know a lot of people, and maybe once in a while we got sources inside, right? So it's kind of cool to hear that it was that there was that classified briefing. So that was really cool. The other one, I believe, if I had to guess, I would believe it would have been like Eric Davis, Mike Gold. I would believe that. I don't know for sure, but I would believe that they were in a classified briefing and that they were talking with a whole bunch of members and representatives. And that when they were doing that briefing, that they were able to kind of talk at a level which they couldn't in the public thing. So although we didn't have what everybody wanted that week of the 12th, which is like open congressional public hearings with firsthand whistleblowers, which I was fighting for, still fighting for, like for Matthew Brown as well. I think the American public should have him on the stand, maybe put his hand on a Bible or something and let him talk, right? It'd be great under oath to hear that. But I will say this, Representative Luna, Representative Burchett, Representative Burleson, and apparently Ogles, Representative Ogles as well, if they keep fighting, we support you. And we want to have more hearings. And because I've been talking with the people that are arranging all of that, they've been tapping you and me to try to get the best firsthand whistleblowers there. I do, fingers crossed, have hope that in the weeks to come, we're going to have more public hearings from firsthand people, either touching craft or exposure on the inside directly to the cover-up. So I just want to kind of give people hope that this is active. The people that I'm talking with, that we're going to get more hearings. Now, how much power those hearings has, that all depends on the quality of the witnesses, not people you can just see on Ancient Aliens, but people that have something to say you haven't heard about before. So I just want people to know I am fighting really hard to get that to be the case in coordination with members who I trust, compared to the slippery members that did the last hearing that completely lied to the American public. The ones I named are on the straight and narrow. They're ones I trust so far. So let's get going. Let's get some more hearings.
Now, let's focus on something Jeremy just said there at the end, which I found quite interesting, which was him naming all the different representatives that he trusts, right?
Representative Luna, Representative Burchett, Representative Burleson, and apparently Ogles, Representative Ogles as well.
But guess one name that wasn't mentioned? Nancy Mace. And apparently things aren't looking good there, right? Which is interesting because she ran the last hearing and was supposed to be taking the lead on all of this. But if you remember, I made several videos about it. The whole Immaculate Constellation documents that got presented to Congress, Jeremy Corbell felt that Nancy Mace basically lied about that and misinformed the American people, right? And so pretty much doesn't trust her anymore, as well as I think some other people, right? Because I don't see her at any of these hearings that have come up or any of these meetings. Nothing. I mean, it's like Luna basically has taken the lead at this point. Now, talking about these new hearings that may be coming up in a few weeks, right? That's very interesting, right? With firsthand witnesses that have touched a craft. That's what's really going to change. People with information on the cover-up or this or that. I mean, yes, that's good, but we need people who have touched the craft and who are willing to testify and potentially, hopefully, provide evidence that they've touched this craft. I don't know. Who are they going to bring? People we've never heard of before. So, I mean, I look forward to this. When are these these hearings supposed to happen? End of May? Sometime in June? Typically, they will happen in July, right? That's when the David Grush hearing happened 2 years ago. So potentially maybe they're shooting for that, right? Before summer recess. I don't know. But would be very interesting to have a public hearing with someone who's actually touched a UFO and put their hands on it while working for the American government as part of this cover-up, right? So I do look forward to that if that's going to happen for sure. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. We'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, Vetters, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.